Welcome back to Professional Perspectives. I'm Arvakela, and we're thrilled today for Season 4, Episode 2, with another incredible guest. This season has been all about learning from leaders who have mastered their craft, and today's conversation takes us behind the scenes of some of the biggest moments in sports broadcasting. Our guest today has worked on everything from the Super Bowl, the World Series, to March Madness and the NBA Finals, blending technology, creativity, and precision to help bring live sports to millions of fans around the world.
That's right. Today, we're honored to be joined by Mr. Brady Jones, a two-time Emmy Award-winning EVS operator, nonlinear editor, director, and a 2D, 3D animator. Mr. Jones's resume reads like a highlight reel, with experience at CBS Sports, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, Turner Sports, ESPN, and even WWE. He also serves as an instructor and consultant for EVS broadcast equipment, helping train professionals around the world. Mr. Jones has played a key role in producing some of the world's most watched sporting events, including multiple Super Bowls, World Series, Final Fours, and NBA Finals. He's equally passionate about teaching and mentoring the next generation of broadcast professionals. Today, we'll talk about the art and technology of live sports production, Mr. Jones' path to becoming a leader in the control room, and the lessons he has learned from over a decade at the forefront of live television. Mr. Jones, welcome to the show.
Awesome. So, Mr. Jones, to get us started, can you tell us how your journey into broadcasting began? What initially drew you to the world of live production and relay operations?
I think it kind of started as just being a nonlinear editor. I edited music videos and a lot of web content for a lot of artists in the Atlanta area in the early aughts. And I just always struggled to get all of my money from them. I would get a deposit from them, but it would always be a struggle to get the last bit of the money. So literally, I was in my apartment watching ESPN sports, love sports, always have. And I saw LeBron James hit three pointers, and the coach took a timeout. Within 30 seconds, they came back from the broadcast, from the commercials back to the broadcast, and I saw like LeBron James's, front end interstitial, his name, and then I saw those three shots and a hero shot, and I said, how did they do that fast within 30 seconds? How did they put the three shots together with the hero shot on the back? If they were using computers to do it, like I was, like Final Cut, but I was just using it to edit music videos, well, then I felt I needed to be there with them doing that because those operators were not having problems in my mind getting all of their money, whereas I was having problems getting my money from just typical clients, in the freelancer space. So I literally got on my computer, looked up live television editing. The EVS USA site came up. I went, took that class, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's a great story to hear, and especially how you had like that one kind of moment where you were watching TV and you felt like, you know what, I need to be in that position. Just for example, like these editors were some of your biggest influences. Were there any specific mentors that you would like to mention that when you were first starting out?
Yes, a lot of people paved the way for myself. Howard Feinberg was an editor, an EVS operator that I met based in Atlanta as well. I met him early on, and he's been a mentor to me, still is a mentor to me. I've worked 5 Super Bowls with him. Um, Josh Harper is another person that's been a mentor to me and has helped me as well. A lot of different people, a lot of different companies. Fox, CBS, they've been very, very good about family, helping me in times of need, things when I needed to take time off for familial reasons and things like that. So the industry is very good at helping you. Some people are not, but by and large, I think you can find people to help you cultivate you on your path. I was fortunate to find people to do the same thing for me.
Awesome, yeah. And as we mentioned in the introduction, you worked across so many sports and so many networks, from like local broadcasts to national events like the Super Bowl. How did these events vary, and in experience, is anything harder, easier, or like what's the difference between them?
They vary, but mostly it's weird and you probably wouldn't think it, but the local sports a lot of times you're working harder in those scenarios. A lot of times when I teach the class, I tell the students they're thinking about jobs that they can go out and obtain immediately. I mentioned to them things like in house broadcast. That's where I started. Minor League Baseball, doing the Jumbotron feed. The reason I say that is because as an operator on those feeds, you're usually one of one. You're doing all the replays for the broadcast. You're building all the packages, all the highlights for the broadcast. But then when the timeouts happen, when the inning is over, you don't get a break. You're then throwing up shit on the Jumbotron for the in house entertainment. So that makes you better as an operator because you never get a break. You're always hustling and you're always working. And that's what you need to think about and how you need to operate when you get to the major levels where you're a lead EVS and you're in charge of a whole tape room and you have to edit packages and do replays for broadcasts. That all starts from the local level. Everything is the same. It's just the Super Bowl, it's more cameras. But it all comes from simple four camera basketball, four camera football on the local level. If you can handle four cameras, well, then you can handle something like 99 or 79 for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see how it's literally just scaling up your skills from once you perfect it, then it's really easy to just go into these big arenas like the Super Bowl and March Madness. Just real fast, for those who might not be familiar, can you explain what an
Correct.
EVS operator does and why that role is so like critical in live sports?
Yes, yes. An EVS operator, when you're watching a sports broadcast and you see a play, and then they're still live showing you the action that's happening on the field, and then they transition to the replays, that's what an EVS operator is doing. Not the transition, but they're doing the replays. We're physically running a machine and we're controlling the speed of the replay that we're showing to you. So, like my machine on NFL now, I have 8 angles coming in. I do all the up cameras, one, two, three. So I show the replays, a couple of the receiver ISOs and things like that. So I just back them up on different angles, whatever angles the producer wants. So that's what an EVS operator does. You just do replays from the angles, and then some of us do replays and we edit the angles together to make highlight packages.
Awesome, yeah. And when you're talking about highlight packages, can you just walk us through how instant replays or highlight packages come together during a game?
Yeah. So the play happens, and then our job as an operator is to sell our looks. Speaking in like industry vernacular terms, we sell our looks to the producer. So if there's a block field goal, for example, I might have a look on it of it on my A side. On NFL, I'm A, B, Y, laser, four outputs, and then I have three different looks. My laser machine is for like tape playback elements, but my three ABY, they have three looks of the field goal, of the block field goal. So I can tell my producer, I've got a look of the block on A. I've got a look of the reaction on Y. So then the producer is stacking the looks A, B, Falcon, Eagle. We've got maybe 20 different replay outputs on my NFL show. A, B, Y, laser, Falcon, Eagle, Mo, clocks. We have reverse hawk. Hawk is Skycam. We have blue W. We have, that was my machine, ABY laser. That's server 5. Server 6, that is Elvis Z. Then we've got slash green, salsa, Texan. And then we also have bronze and peach. All those are different outputs that have different looks of that block field goal. The operators sell the looks to the producer. Then the producer stacks the looks the way that he wants to see them. He or she, our producer is a he, the way they want to see them, based on the looks. The looks, some of them are full speed, some of them are super slow mo's. It just depends. And we sell, and then they determine the looks they want to see, and they put them on air in that sequence. It's like a chaotic kind of ballet, you know. It's just a dance, and we're just communicating on a headset. It's remarkable that we don't get mistakes on the air very often, but we just put it all together, and the producer calls the replays based on us telling the producer where the replay is, and they put them on air, and that's the sequence, and it happens over and over and over and over and over.
That's actually really interesting how so much stuff does go on behind the scenes. It's like you guys are your own team playing a game. Just real fast,
Yeah,
you kind of were talking about it, but what kind of teamwork and communication does it take to make a live broadcast run so seamlessly and ensure that there's not any mistakes on air?
yeah. All of us are in trucks. My show, we have three different trucks. Production, that's your producer, your director, your technical director. That's who actually hits the buttons to put my output on air. They're all in the A unit. Graphics, they're in the A unit. Audio, they're in the A unit. And we're all communicating over headsets. We replay, we're all in the B unit. Video is also in the B unit. And when I say video, there are people that are actually shading the colors of the cameras that you see, and the brightness, opacity of the cameras that you see. They're in the B unit with me, and we're all communicating on headset. The producer's telling the director what cameras to take, and they're covering the action as it's happening. And then when it's time to show replays, the producer's then communicating the replay machines to the producer, I mean, to the director to get them online for the replay sequences. The graphics people are talking to the producer and director about graphics that they have to supplement things that our announcers are saying. On my show, the announcers are JJ Watt and Ian Eagle. Ian Eagle, one of the best in the business. So they're telling the producer, hey, yes, that graphic would be great. And then the producer's telling the director, hey, put that graphic up. And that's why you see that graphic. So that's just the communication that's happening on the headset for the 3 hours, 3.5 hours of our NFL games. And we have a format that we're kind of trying to follow, storylines that the producer and director have talked about with JJ Watt and Ian Eagle in advance of the game happening. And then we're just waiting on those things to happen. Different defensive things that we've highlighted because of the action, and then, or that they've highlighted. And they tell all of us as their team, these are the storylines we're looking for. So as the replay department, we're looking for those things. And when we see it, we're pointing it out to them and they can get it on air. The camera people, they're also, as a replay artist, if the camera people don't shoot it, well, then I can't replay it. So everybody is part of the team. And we all work together on headset to make it happen with storylines that have been identified by the production team. And that's the talent and the producer and the director.
Awesome, yeah, and like how Praneeth was saying, it's actually really cool to see how you guys are really working as a team in a really coordinated and seamless fashion. But I was wondering, like, in very high pressure situations such as like the Super Bowl or March Madness, what is it like working in a control room where there's like so much pressure and you can't really mess up?
Uh, the thing is, that's the beauty of live sports, is because like I've made mistakes in front of hundreds of millions of people, and you would never know it because there's never a lower third that rises up from the bottom of the screen that says that fuck up was brought to you by Brady Jones. Just like there never is a lower third that says that brilliant replay was brought to you by Brady Jones. So keep everything always in perspective. Nobody knows. Most people have no idea how replays and broadcasts are put together in the beginning. So take everything with a grain of salt. Just try not to replicate mistakes. That's not an effective person. If you continue to replicate mistakes, learn from the mistake and just move on. But you don't think about the pressure because at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's just a football game. And as I mentioned before, it all comes from four camera football. You've done hundreds of games before you get to the Super Bowl level. So it's no big deal. It's just a football game. And, a mistake is a mistake. Most people don't recognize anyway.
That's great advice, especially not just in careers, but in life as well, just to make sure that, even if you do make a mistake, it's not like you have a target on your back now that says, you made a mistake and to just move on with your life. Are there any like specific broadcast moments or anything that stand out as like one career highlight for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say the World Series in 2016 when the Cubs hadn't won a World Series in over 100 years. I was there when that happened. I was doing that game. That whole series was tremendous. And then I'll say the bookend for that earlier that year in June, I was also at the NBA Finals when the Cavaliers came back from down 3-1 and beat Golden State Warriors in 7 games. And that was a huge moment as well. And what was crazy about the World Series is that was Cleveland being up 3-1 over the Cubs, and the Cubs doing the same thing that the Cavaliers did to the Golden State Warriors to deliver the Chicago Cubs their first Major League Baseball World Series title in 100 years. Those are two moments that I think definitely stood out. Another one, unfortunately, I'm not an Atlanta Falcons fan, but I was there for the 28-3 comeback from the New England Patriots, where they came back from down 28-3 in the fourth quarter to snatch the Super Bowl from the Atlanta Falcons' grasp. That was Super Bowl 51. That was crazy as well. Those are three that I can highlight that just come to mind immediately that were like, oh wow, that was an amazing moment. Uh, that was a special, even like this past year, that World Series, that was an amazing World Series that happened. You know, Toronto did their best, they had it, and then once again, the Dodgers snatched it out like they did last year when the Yankees folded. This year, unfortunately, the Blue Jays folded. So those things always stick out, and every year a new one kind of happens. But those 2016, those two were especially special, if I can say that.
Well, as a Warriors fan, that is a pretty sore moment for me. The Cavaliers 3-1, but it's all right. Uh, so considering that you've nearly worked like in every major event in American sports, what keeps you motivated and passionate after all these years in the field?
Just the constant quest for mastery. It takes 10 years, they say, to master something. I've been doing this for 15 years. I still don't consider myself a master at it. I think that I'm pretty good. But I only think I'm good because I studied it a lot when I was first coming up and first learning this. I read my manual every day for a year and a half, and I would practice not on the remote, but I would practice on a virtual remote, like a physical piece of paper that was the remote. And I practiced watching a sporting event, 1 to 2 sporting events every night. And when I would see a replay on the screen, I would act like I was physically doing that replay with my virtual remote on this piece of paper. So I practiced a lot to get to this level, and I studied a lot to get to this level. Never took lunch, would always come half an hour early because I wanted to be the best, and I'm still pursuing being the best. So that's what motivates me, having seamless workflows that make my job even easier, um, and putting my son through college. That those are things that definitely motivate me. Although I've been to, some people would say, the highest heights of this sport and have won Emmys and things like that, you still are always in pursuit of doing a great job on your next show because nobody gives a shit until it's all about this show. Nobody cares about the last show or that show in 2016. It's all about how did you do on this show and how is the broadcast. So it's always a constant thing, a constant pursuit of perfection within the job today.
This is
No
like a
problem.
great mindset to have. Ha In moments of low, because not everyone's life, is always a high. In these moments of down or like when you're feeling negative, is there any habits or rituals that you kind of do to get yourself back up to where you normally are?
Uh, I mean, this is what? This is like a high school broadcast, right? Or podcast? Yeah, I mean, look, when I teach the class, I am very irreverent. I'm a real dude, super real dude. So I teach the class, I curse during class for sure, and I talk about real shit. So, and I tell the students, whatever it takes for you to blow this away at the end of the day, find it. I'm not encouraging you to drink, but like a little drink might wash it away. There are other things that can get rid of the stress of the job. Whatever it is you need to do, once the job is over, do that thing and get rid of it because that sporting event is over. So there's no reason to hold on to it. And that's one thing that really attracted me to live sports once I found it. I came from a nonlinear editor background. What aggravated me about that more than anything else in the world is I could finish a project and then a year later, somebody's freaking mom would see it and have some comments about it. And then that person would contact me and say, "Hey, Brady, could you change the end of that?" And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, I don't want to change it. I want that project to stay dead. Now I've got to batch capture all this shit over again and make a small, minuscule change that you're only paying me maybe a little extra, of my daily or my hourly rate to get done. But I don't care about the extra money. I want your project to die. You know, that's the beauty about live sports. When that game is over, it's over. Even something like World Series. I've done postseason baseball with Fox since 2013. It's great because it doesn't matter if each series goes 7 games. Because guess what? After the seventh game in the World Series, just like we had this year, that shit's over. I go home, I go to something else. And I just felt like with editing on a computer in my house, those projects were perpetual and they would never end. So just understand it's always going to end at some point. Figure out what it takes for you, whether it's yoga, whether it's, just breathing exercises, whether it's running, whatever. Find that thing that allows you to relax once these jobs are done, lock into it, and be done. People unfortunately like to go and shoot guns and things. They do whatever. Just get rid of the stress and lock into the longevity of the job because it has a lot of rewards if you can stick into it.
Awesome, yeah. And then you were talking earlier about mastery and how like it takes usually 10 years to master something.
Uh-huh.
In your perspective, what do you think separates a good operator versus a great one?
That's a good question. And here's the thing. What I push my students to do is don't just be an operator. So don't look to be a good operator or even a great operator. What you want to be is you want to be a great technician, meaning you understand the nuts and bolts of your replay solution. So when things happen with it on the back end, you're able to solve it and you bring more to your production than just being a replay operator, which is pretty easy to do. I can teach a monkey to do replays. The problem is a monkey can't understand communication. So when we're telling them back it up and cue it up to the 3-pointer, then a monkey is not going to get it. But a human can get it and a human can do it and can back it up to the 3-pointer. But you need to be a better technician. Understand your replay device. Understand why things are happening. Understand how it works because that makes you better because then you can develop better workflows that help you as an operator, which helps get better shit on the air and makes the production look better overall. So strive to be a technician, not a great operator, be a great technician.
Yeah, and along with this lesson or advice that you would tell, all your students, is there like another piece that you would say, like, if you're only to like partake or to give your students just like one thing to remember, what would that one lesson be?
Work hard, work hard and be patient. The thing is, a lot of times when I teach this class, there are a lot of younger operators like yourself, like Arav, that are coming in and take the class. And a lot of you guys are in this instant gratification age. This shit doesn't happen immediately. Like I had to spend 3 years, 2 years on 3Play doing replays on 3Play, which is a lower level replay solution, before I even graduated to do EVS on broadcast television. So you have to be patient. Show up to work every day, work hard, study your craft, you will be fine. But this shit is not going to just fall out of the sky. You got to work hard. I was an anomaly. For some reason, after 3 years, I was on the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen for everybody. That happened for me because I worked super, super hard. I got there early. I worked hard. I was a good person. I was a great team member helping people. And I wanted to learn more and more. And like I said, I became a technician. So I brought more to the crew than just being a replay operator. I can troubleshoot your X file. I can troubleshoot the back end of the server because I understand how it's built. But be patient and just work hard and show up to work every day and be a good person. The opportunities are going to come because we live in a country that prioritizes escapism. So we put more and more shit on TV, drone racing and pickleball and all these ancillary sports. We put them on TV with replay operators. Esports is on TV as well. That is done with replay operators as well on different replay solutions. So just work hard. Don't worry about why am I not on the Super Bowl right now. Just work hard. It's going to happen. Be a good person. Work hard. Know your machine. You'll be there. I guarantee it.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's really good advice for anyone wanting to get into the field, but also in general, just being able to work hard and being adaptable and being able to be resilient. So thank you for that advice. Another question I had is you said that it was like you're an Emmy winning operator and then it was also on your LinkedIn. Could you explain, is that a team award or is it an individual award and how does that work?
It's a team award. So like the two Emmys I have, the first one was for Super Bowl, excuse me, Super Bowl 55. That was Kansas City versus Tampa Bay, and we won that as a technical team. It's a technical team Emmy. That was Super Bowl 55. I won that with CBS, and I won it again for the Super Bowl that we did in Las Vegas. That was the Kansas City, whoever they played, San Francisco, Kansas City. That went into overtime. Kansas City won in overtime, and we won an Emmy, a technical team Emmy for that Super Bowl as well. It's not an individual thing. It's not an individual thing. The entire team, all the EVS operators, the camera people, the producers, the directors, graphics, production people, everybody, we all won an Emmy. The engineers, truck drivers, everybody on that show won an Emmy.
Yeah, and tying into this, because the Emmy is a huge award, how do you define success, both personally and professionally?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I really don't know how I mean, I would say that I've been pretty successful in terms of other people's metrics, right? Other people's metrics, yes. I've done 8 Super Bowls. They would consider that a success. I've done every World Series since 2013. People would consider that a success. I could go on and on and on. So, yes, that is success. What I consider a success is whatever you set out to do. You know, if your goal was to make a great garden and supply your neighborhood with great, rich, homegrown vegetables with no, GMOs or pesticides and things like that. And you're able to, over the course of 5 years, make your neighborhood healthier and everybody's kids grow to be 7 feet tall or whatever the case may be. Like, that is a success. Whatever you set out to do, if you achieve that, or you get close to it, or you learn something from that, I consider that a success. And then you develop another goal, you go and you pursue that, and you achieve that, or you don't. You shift the goalposts, and then you achieve that. All of those are successes. I never had a specific goal in mind. I used to want to do the Olympics, but then once I got into it, had a family, I didn't really want to be gone from home for like 6 weeks at that time. So that was not a goal of mine anymore. But I would say that almost every, I've achieved every goal that I set out to do, and more that I didn't even know were goals. That's because, like I said, I have great mentors. I had good people that were willing to give me information. Another gentleman I failed to mention earlier on is Dieter Bakich. Dieter Bakich is an EVS, works for EVS. He was an EVS operator and then became like an EVS like engineer and architect out in Liège. EVS is a Belgian company, and they're based in Liège, Belgium. So he's out there. He was always a mentor of mine, still is a mentor of mine, and he helped me out earlier on when I was on that quest to like master the box. Like I mentioned, be a technician of the box, not an operator. So I was on that quest, and he assisted with that. So yeah, I think that's what I measure in success. I measure success by your contentment, um, your achievement of your goals that you set out to achieve, and knowledge that you accrued in that process. I think those are three things that measure success.
Awesome, yeah. And I feel like that's actually a pretty good definition of success, and just being able to reach those goals is something very big in itself. But you were talking about like tying into what you said about the Olympics and about how it can be a big commitment, right, to go away from your family for 6 months. How do you handle the challenges of long hours traveling and like the intensity of the production?
It's tough. I mean, you have to try to stay away from the bar. Stay away from the bar. That's one of the mistakes that I made early on in my career. You know, first World Series, first postseason baseball I did. I tried to be the cool guy, tried to go to the bar with the crew after the game. You don't need to do that. You need to pursue longevity in this industry because the monetary rewards are very great, but they're not great if you can't stay in the industry for a long time. So you need to take care of yourself, get sleep when you can. And then when you can't, sometimes I'll be honest, I take naps in the truck sometimes. As an EVS operator, we'll have a lot of time where we're just sitting around waiting on things to happen. During postseason baseball, they'll do a lot of rehearsals, like hours of rehearsals before game one about the intros when they run out from the dugout and they introduce every player and they introduce every reserve. They rehearse that shit for like hours. So during that, I'm sitting there with a lot of other people, and we have no responsibility at all during that. So that is an opportune time to take a little nap when I'm sitting there in the truck. Nobody's bothering me. I can close my eyes like an old man and just take a nap and just recharge my batteries for a second. You try to also eat right. I am a vegetarian. Um, so that's a change that I made, after being in the industry because I wanted to eat things that I thought would, again, fester longevity, fester being able to handle being on the road, being gone. Um, I don't really get into a ton of meditation, but I have at certain times. Um, but I do get into quiet time, just thinking to myself, my own thoughts, um, as I'm out on the road or on planes, just sitting there. You just try to stay locked in and look for that light at the end of the tunnel and know that you won't be on the road forever. Like I said, these sporting events don't go forever. The World Series starts and it ends. The Olympics will start, the opening ceremony will happen, and so will the closing ceremony. Both of those things are absolutes. They are going to happen. So just have fun in the in between time.
Yeah, and it's really great to see how I think you're really happy where you are now. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of career advice, what would this be?
Work harder. That's what I would say. Work harder, stay prepared, which I feel like I've done. I would say work harder. Work harder and go to the doctor when you're supposed to. Those are two things I would say.
Awesome, yeah. And as we start to wrap up, if you could give a piece of advice to someone interested in the field or someone interested in being in the sports industry, what advice would that be?
I would say get involved at your local high school level right now. A lot of high schools are really good. My son's in high school. He's 16 at Pope High School down the street. They have an audio visual department. They put on the morning announcements. That's the kind of shit you need to get involved in. Editing those morning announcements, putting on those morning announcements, the production, shooting the camera for it, balancing the audio for it. All those type of things, miking up the talent. So keying out the green screen that prepares you for the next level. That next level is going to like your local sporting team, whoever it might be, minor league, major league. Go to those facilities. Excuse me. Go to those facilities. Try to get involved. What's your game productions? Who's doing game productions? I want to work upstairs. I want to do graphics. Go and get involved locally, high school level, local sports levels, and then that's going to take you to the collegiate level, and that'll take you to the professional sports level. But don't wait for the Olympics because the thing a lot of people forget is NBC Sports has to staff the Olympics. They don't start staffing the Olympics in 2028. They're already staffing the Olympics now in 2025. So you want to work the Olympics? Go to NBCSports.com and look for operators for the Olympics and apply. You probably will get hired. Pursue those opportunities locally and then use the interwebs to pursue opportunities domestically. But pursue what you want and get involved. That would be my advice. That's what I did. I got involved locally. People would rather hire somebody like you, Arav and Praneeth, because you guys are younger, you understand technology, you understand digital things, digital appliances, apparatuses, applications. It's easier to hire somebody like you and train you than to employ people that are 50, 60, 70 years old. Although those people might have experience, you have the digital chutzpah, so to speak, to be able to achieve the things that they need to achieve right now. And you're easily educated, and you soak up things like a sponge. So you'll get those jobs. Just don't psych yourself out and think that you can't obtain them, because they would rather hire you. Believe that. I'm telling you. Sorry to interrupt, Praneeth.
No, of course. No, that's great information too. I was just saying, yeah, it's like really important. I can see that you need to take a drive and try to make that place for yourself. Finally, just like to as like a last question, what's next for you? Are there any upcoming projects or goals that you're like especially excited about?
Uh, well, yeah. I mean, I'm going back to EBS headquarters in Liège next week after NFL. So on Thursday, I go away for 10 days. I'll go to Buffalo, do Buccaneers versus the Bills. Then I'm going to fly to Europe on Monday, do things at EBS until Thursday, then fly from Belgium back over here to Chicago and do whoever plays the Bears in Chicago 2 weeks from this Sunday. So that, and then just finishing out the NFL season. Our crew is doing the first Netflix game. We're doing whoever the Commanders are playing. So the Netflix game, and then we don't have a playoff game this year. But my crew, we're the CBS B crew for NFL, and then once college basketball starts, we become the college basketball A crew, and I'm the lead EBS on the Final Four. So like I'm looking at April. My season stops in Indianapolis once the Final Four is over. So that's where my goals, that's where the end of the tunnel is for me, and that's where my focus is right now.
Awesome. That sounds very exciting. Going to Europe and going to different places and recording so many games. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Thank you.
And yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Jones. I felt like that was a really good episode, and thank you so much for all your wisdom and your responses and your answers. I feel like they'll be very helpful for students our age going into these fields. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime.
Mr. Jones, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been incredible hearing your journey from your early days in production to leading replays at some of the biggest events in sports. The precision, passion, and professionalism you bring to your work is truly inspiring. And I know our listeners have gained a deeper appreciation for the teamwork and technology that make live sports so special.
Absolutely. Mr. Jones, your story shows what dedication, adaptability, and curiosity can achieve, whether you're behind the camera, in the control room, or in the classroom. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Season 4 of Professional Perspectives. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and stay connected for more stories and insights from professionals shaping their industries. Until next time, keep learning, keep striving, and keep exploring your professional perspectives.